Every so often, there comes a video game in a series where we look back years later and wonder about the loopholes in the game, whether the story, whether what happened with the outcome. There's always been curiosity regarding a video game franchise, and when it comes to an end, you find yourself really asking a lot of questions that really did not get mentioned or ever asked until maybe years later when you see channels making videos on subjects that pertain to that game. Recently, I did a search regarding some of the stuff of one Batman Arkham Knight, which was the final Batman game in the Arkham Knight franchise. And I typed in a character's name by the name of Lex Luthor, who actually is a character in the DC universe. Everybody knows he's one of the villains of Superman. And during Arkham Knight, we discover that Lex Luthor has a LexCorp building inside of Gotham City. There also is a point where if you go into Wayne Tower, you go over to the phone machine and you listen to the messages that Batman Bruce Wayne gets. There's a message where Lex Luthor has expressed interest to buy Applied Science, which is actually part of Wayne Tech. Now, to those who don't know, that is a division that handles Bruce Wayne's activities as Batman, that is run by Bruce Wayne's friend Lucius Fox. Now, at first, it doesn't really mean much that he just wants to buy Wayne Tech. But over the years, there have been tons of questions asked regarding Luthor's involvement in the game. There was the Easter egg, obviously. His voice was in the game, but not his actual physical presence. You don't encounter him or fight him in the game. He's just basically like what Riddler was in the first Arkham game. But at the same time, when you go throughout Arkham Knight, you find yourself really asking, when you deal with the Arkham Knight's militia, the unmanned tanks, the drones, the Arkham Knight himself, and you ask yourself, how could the Arkham Knight and the Scarecrow, who are the two threats in the game in the main story, somehow finance an operation? The Scarecrow building the fear toxin he wants to dump on Gotham City, that makes sense because that's what Scarecrow specializes in. He specializes in fear toxins and phobias. And he was planning to dump the bomb on Gotham City and parts of the eastern seaboard, to where the only way to avoid it is to stay high above or be directly underground and away from it. So that makes perfect sense that Scarecrow would do that. But then when you turn to the Arkham Knight was originally a character who knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne. He's got a vendetta against Batman. He knows about Batman's suits. He knows about the cave. He knows about Batman's alliances with Barbara Gordon and Jim Gordon. He knows everything about Batman, how he fights, how he thinks. And we're led to believe that he has a vendetta against Batman. And we soon discover, when you get to the point in the story, that actually we learn the whereabouts of one Jason Todd, who's a former Robin, who was actually believed to have been killed by the Joker many years prior. And Batman originally thought that Jason Todd had died, when in reality he survived, and we soon learned that he is the Arkham Knight. And while the Arkham Knight was a likable villain and a character, the high-tech suit he had and the visor and the voice modulator, everything from that to the Arkham Knight's drones and militia and the unmanned tanks, all of it all would have had to have been financially backed by somebody. The Scarecrow does not have billions of dollars unless he did robberies, which there's no real point in the story to where he got the money that way. And with Lex Luthor, it makes perfect sense. He's an ally, or he's an enemy of Superman. Okay, he knows that Batman's an ally of Superman. Lex has got a LexCorp Industries that builds tech to face off against alien threats, should they ever exist, that he says that mankind only has the ability to defend this world against alien threats, and it should not be trusted in the form of an alien, which he happens to mean Superman. This is why they have their whole conflict. And Lex also knows of Gotham villains. He has a headquarters in Gotham City. Combine that he's conveniently calling Wayne Tech during the point in time of right before the Scarecrow and the Arkham Knight have set forth their whole action against Gotham City. These are all interesting signs, and some of these channels have actually made the accurate argument that this could be Lex Luthor that was behind it. Not to mention the scene where Batman is going to go into the movie studios where all the infected Jokers are down below. There's a point in the game where we learned that Harley Quinn got inside of there, despite that Batman needed to use his own voice to get into the studio because any other voice would have been stopped. Harley Quinn does not have the ability to do that kind of stuff where she's able to bypass that kind of security. There's no way she could have pulled that off. But Lex Luthor also has a lot of tech that rivals Batman, where he could have found a way to give that tech information to Harley Quinn, or maybe give it to the Arkham Knight and Scarecrow, who might have given it to Harley Quinn. And Harley Quinn wanted to go after those Jokers. This is all very interesting, and this is a theory that's really been gaining a lot of fan support, that Lex Luthor was more involved in the Arkham Knight plot than what we thought, that he did not just make a voice cameo. He could have been financing this whole thing for the longest of time. Not to mention, you look at the Penguin, who has all these warehouses that's handled through North Refrigeration, which he uses to put forth all kinds of stuff in the warehouse. All right? And I know people are going to say, well, they were Stag's warehouses and that Penguin had used them. However, how do we know that Luthor did not pay Stag off to actually use that money to build those warehouses, and then that would automatically be where the events of Arkham Knight went, with Batman going after and destroying the caches that the Penguin has throughout parts of Gotham City? I mean, it is possible. But the problem is they never followed through with this theory in the game, and they never made another game after that pertaining to the events of Arkham Knight. I think that was one of the biggest letdowns, that we never did learn fully who financed the Arkham Knight's militia and the events in the game. I really do believe that Luthor had involvement in the whole thing. Maybe not from a standpoint of building the fear toxin or the Arkham Knight's grudge against Batman, but the financial backing in this definitely points to Lex Luthor. He has he has LexCorp. He's got the money and finances. He's got tech. No doubt in my mind that this was something that they missed a chance to really explore. Sadly, we will never know fully on who it was that might have financed the Arkham Knight's military and helped play a part in the Arkham Knight story. But it's a very interesting theory that I definitely think I'm in agreement with a lot of other YouTube channels that are talking about this. The theory, no doubt about it, provides for more intrigue to the main story. I definitely think that this is something that a lot of people are nailing with, in terms of the idea that there was more going on in Arkham Knight than what we thought we saw. So, sadly, we'll never know, but it's just something I wanted to touch base on, guys. Anyways, I'm going to get going. Thanks again for watching. Talk to you later.